Hi, it's Nick from the Run Testers, and this is our review of the Brooks Aurora-BL. Drink it in, a very odd looking new shoe from Brooks. It's kind of being launched and it's going to trumpet the kind of new DNA Loft V3 foam in the shoe. DNA Loft is Brooks' really comfortable foam. You'll find it in shoes like the Glycerin. This is a new version and Brooks has obviously gone all out to kind of publicise that fact with a mad looking moon boot. DNA Loft is an EVA foam, and what Brooks has done in version 3 is inject it with nitrogen. It even says that on the shoe to really drive that point home. Lots of brands now starting to whack nitrogen into foams. It kind of expands the foam, makes it lighter, kind of bigger cells, still kind of springy, still pretty durable, creates a really nice feel on the run. Shoe is going to cost £180 and it's available from June 10th in a kind of small limited edition run. Like I say, this is in some ways a kind of concept shoe to show off this new foam. It's not necessarily going to be something that Brooks expects to sell loads of, that people are going to be pounding the pavement in for, you know, all over the world. But yeah, it's certainly an interesting way to launch a new foam. The shoe, like I say, is reasonably lightweight. It's 255 grams in my UK size 9, which is 9 ounces, and Brooks lists the women's size as 215 grams. And he has a 6mm drop from heel to toe, and it's got kind of a guide roll system in it, Brooks calls it, which is, I guess, similar to kind of the rockers, the rollers you're finding in lots of shoes these days, that just kind of roll you through your foot strike nicely and get you kind of on your way in a smooth manner. This stuff is all kind of coming from Brooks's Blue Line Lab, which is their kind of innovation lab. It's where the tech was developed for the nitrogen-infused DNA flash foam in shoes like the Hyperion Elite 2 and Hyperion Tempo. The other kind of really big innovation here is that it's a decoupled midsole. As you can see, it's, you know, has that break there to allow for more flexibility. You know, that's very rare, but kind of suggests it's like something that's pretty unique in a big, highly cushioned shoe like this. So that'll be certainly an interesting thing to try and feel out on the run. Upper is very thin, very breathable, very translucent little material here with a bit of reinforced section around the front. It's kind of a mesh. It's got a tongue that is connected kind of all the way down, gusseted tongue, creates a very sock style kind of fit to the shoe, holds the foot very nicely in place. And then the heel counter is this kind of slightly elfin thing that you're seeing on shoes like New Balance's 1080V 11. Should hopefully hold the heel well. It's got a fair bit of padding there at the back, but not as much as you get on something like the Glycerin, which has a really padded tongue, a really padded collar. This is a bit more pared back. It's kind of a bit lighter as a result of that as well, I'm sure. The look of the shoe is obviously pretty dramatic. There's some inspiration taken here from the space program, according to Brooks. You know, things like that nitrogen-injected thing. There's all these little reflective accents and stuff. I don't really know what to say about looks of shoes. I'm not a particularly cool guy, so I can't say if this is good, but I will say this. My 2-year-old daughter saw the shoe and went, oh wow, it's beautiful. So that's as good as reviews get when it comes to my 2-year-old daughter. The outsole is pretty sparing on the rubber. Normally on these kind of comfortable cruisers from Brooks, you get a full covering of rubber, but you know, all the kind of key impact zones do have a layer of rubber there. Expect it to probably hold up okay. Again, I'm not sure this is a shoe that Brooks is expected to sell to people to use for, you know, 500 miles. Does seem a little bit like a concept shoe, but you know, there is good covering there. Hopefully it will grip quite well as well. So yeah, exciting stuff. Let's see how this moon boot works on the run.
So I've just put in a 1 mile super fast in the mad moon boots. I actually was racing my family to the swimming pool just near my house. I thought it was a good opportunity to smash it out. They're in the car. I'm on foot in these. I've just had my COVID jab, so it's my first run back after feeling like death for 24 hours. I have to say I'm very surprised at how these feel underfoot. They look so big and bulky and weird in the box. When you put them on, first impressions are they've got brilliant step-in comfort. You know, they are high, there is a whole load of foam under there, but they don't feel too heavy to me. And I actually found the response was good here. There was a good amount of spring, good amount of pop. I pushed them out at kind of quite a high clip, but yeah, I mean, that mile was fun. I know it was just the feeling of me being back on the road after being off, but yeah, I'm going to do some more. But that first mile out here, just for fun, a little bit of a race against the 5-year-old was, that was fun. Shoes unexpectedly good underfoot. So I've just come down to my local little 400-metre park loop here, West London, and I'm going to go and take the Aurora-BL for a second little spin. After yesterday's sort of fun mile time trial, I'm interested to see how they pan on a sort of slightly longer but steadier kind of run. So let's go and take a look. So that's a longer run done. I've done just over 6 miles, just short of the 10k there. And I did a bit of a mixture of pace. I sort of gradually built it up to, I think I did a couple of miles, almost sort of sub 7-minute miles. Most of them were around the average of 8-minute miles, was sort of my casual kind of cruising sort of pace. So I think the difference from yesterday here is that yesterday I was just buzzing out, speeding, you know, racing, a lot of fun. These were bouncy, they were, you know, kind of responsive, and I just enjoyed the whole kind of fun of it. Today is a little bit more of a meaty sort of serious run. And today I think at the paces in the initial part of that, I didn't enjoy them anywhere near as much. I did find them a little bit soft, a little bit squishy. You know, they still have that response, but I'm not sure for me if that responsiveness is sort of sending impact up through my legs a bit more than I would like. I mean, you can definitely see if this is a design to show what this foam can do. You know, there is that squish and response, there is a bit of pop in it, and yeah, I mean, there's a massive slab of it underfoot. They're a comfortable shoe. I mean, I actually, overall, I would think they're not a million miles away from me from, you know, something like a Nova Blast or something, in terms of that sort of, you know, big stack of cushion under there. As I got into that run, going a little bit faster, I actually sort of enjoyed the more I settled. And yeah, I think just clipping out 8s, you know, you could run, happily do a 10k in them. I'm not sure I would go much further. There's maybe just too much going on down there, really, in terms of that cushioning. But overall, yeah, the upper comfort is fine. Like, they're actually super comfortable in the wrap, plenty of room in the toe box, all of that kind of stuff. The overall comfort feel on the foot I thought was fab, you know. That slip-in, step-on comfort remains throughout the run. My heel was held in place nicely. I didn't really feel too much slipping around under the soles of the foot. I thought the stability in these was quite, I don't know, was sort of okay for how much cushion you've got there, but you know, they're not obviously the most stable shoe. I just think, yeah, what a fun little experiment, a fun pair of shoes to whack on, go and have a little play in, but I wouldn't be taking them out every day for many runs, to be honest. But then again, I don't think that's really what Brooks are trying to do here with this shoe. I think they're just trying to demonstrate something with the foam. So, and that nitrogen injected foam, I think, could be a win when they put a little bit less of it on a shoe and combine that with maybe with a plate. The last thing I really wanted to say was, I think it's really important to always include the reaction of a 5-year-old when you first take these shoes out of the box and show them what they look like. And here is what my little boy thought of these shoes.
I really want a blue pair of those shoes. They are awesome.
So my verdict then on these is basically this: fun, surprising, really comfortable. That foam, I think, is a winning foam. There's just quite a lot of it going on in this shoe, probably too much for my liking. The wide platform of the shoes, actually, I found to be more stable than some other kind of foam shoes or super foam shoes like this, and that was very interesting. I ran better in them than I thought they would. I thought this was like a novelty shoe that you probably weren't going to want to run too far in. I think, yeah, they were really fun, popping out over a mile. They just sort of happily did a 10k at sort of various paces. They wouldn't necessarily be a shoe that I would grab first to go and run in, but as a fun experiment and as an example of what might be possible with this foam, you know, fair play to Brooks here. They have actually made a shoe here which put a smile on my face when I came to running it and test it over these 2 short runs.
So I've just done 5 miles in this quite outrageous looking shoe, and its space inspired design, and as ridiculous as it looks, it actually ran pretty nicely. Now, I haven't used a Brooks shoe or run in a Brooks shoe for a very long time, and I went from kind of minimal straight into one of those shoes, and it was a bit of a shock to the system. But actually these ran really nicely. Obviously the big deal here is this kind of nitrogen injected midsole foam that Brooks is introducing here or showing off. And it actually felt really nice. There was a nice bounce to it. It didn't feel too over the top. I felt very controlled in this shoe. I felt I could run quite nice and quick in them in that run. The other thing here really is this kind of decoupled midsole, which Brooks is saying creates a more kind of natural running motion. Now, I can't say that it was something I really felt I noticed in my run, but from the kind of cushioning point of view, I definitely felt this was something that felt nice to run in, and it'd be interesting when Brooks kind of, you know, you can only assume we'll roll this out into less outrageous looking shoes, probably kind of in the next 6 to 12 months. So for me, this space inspired running shoe actually ran pretty nicely. For me, felt comfortable. See-through upper, which was interesting, so I could see my socks, but yeah, pretty nice, and no real complaints really, but definitely an acquired taste, and one you've got to be brave to go out running in a shoe looking like this.
So I'm about to head out for my first run in the Brooks Aurora-BL, the moon boot as we're taking to calling it. Got my Sunday long run on the cards, just a nice 90 minutes, progressing from easy to steady pace. Legs a bit beat up after a session yesterday, so looking forward to seeing how comfy this new nitrogen infused foam is. I'm a pretty big fan of the Glycerin line, so I'm hoping this will be quite similar in feel but maybe a bit livelier. Should be a nice shoe to run in. In terms of fit, they're true to size for me. There's a nice bit of room at the front of the toe box there, which you can see very clearly with this see-through mesh upper. Quite interested in going to running these. Like, I'm not normally that big a fan of slightly wacky, zany shoes, but this should be a pretty good one in terms of performance, just because Brooks's foam is usually pretty good stuff. So 7k in, ticking along just easy at them so far. Been on the canal path with the wind at my back. Canal path much like the moon actually. It's a glorious sunny day, which is not like space, famously very cold. And yeah, really enjoying it so far. Like, the shoe doesn't feel as cushy as the Glycerin to me. It feels a bit lighter, a bit firmer, kind of in between maybe the Glycerin and something like the up here in tempo, but obviously much more towards the Glycerin so far. Just been rolling along pretty easy so far. Enjoying it. It's got like a really wide base, it feels like. It is stable, but in a quite a big way. I wonder if that much ground contact will be a bit annoying if I up the pace a little bit later. But yeah, so far it's a pretty nice shoe. Oh, so now I'm 17 and a bit K in. Got about 20 minutes left to run. Just going to kick up the pace slightly here. So far, I like them. They don't feel like they've got a lot of roll to them. I know they've got that kind of guide roll technology. It doesn't feel like the Nike Infinity or the Saucony Endorphin Shift in how much those shoes kind of roll you onto your forefoot and off. They feel okay. They're not like really cushy like the Glycerin at all, I don't think. They're hard to say, but one thing they do compare to a bit is the Hoka Clifton Edge, in that they're light, but the width of the shoe does feel like there's a lot of shoe on the ground during your stride, a lot of ground contact, and sometimes means picking them up a bit harder again. But I've only just done 1k at kind of any kind of steady pace, so I'll do a few more now and see how they feel for that. But overall, yeah, they're a very decent running shoe for all their kind of, you know, bizarreness. So just back from my run now. It was really nice today. Rode for about 22.5k. I was really impressed actually how the shoe felt in the last kind of 5-6k, knocking it up to around 345, 340 a k. Felt really smooth, very comfortable. I was expecting kind of, like I say, a Glycerin style shoe because it's DNA Loft cushioning, but it wasn't like that at all. It was, I think, much more like a workhorse style shoe to me, where it was fine at easy paces but could handle kind of steady paces quite well as well. You know, I think you could use this for quite a lot of different types of runs. It wasn't like cushy comfort, I'd say. Like, my forefoot was kind of feeling it towards the end of the run, you know, at the end of a long week of training. Like I said, quite a hard session yesterday. So yeah, it's pretty nice shoe. It feels like it could be quite versatile. You know, I still think this is probably more of a novelty. It's you know, just coming out to, you know, really add some excitement to this, what's going on out there. But if you are someone who really likes the look of it, likes the idea of it, likes all these tie-ins of the space program and Apollo 11, then you know, you could buy it and use it for running. Like, it's a decent running shoe. That's quite nice. You know, it's £180. I wouldn't be recommending buying this if you're just looking for a performance running shoe. There are loads of better options, even around the £100 mark, like the Puma Velocity Nitro, Nike Pegasus 38, Brooks launch from Brooks themselves. So yeah, it's obviously something of a niche shoe, but if it really appeals, and you do also want to use it for running, not just, you know, just to look at it and keep it somewhere in box fresh condition, then yeah, you can use it for running. It was quite nice out there today. And I am looking forward to DNA Loft coming to some other shoes and see how Brooks positions those, because I don't think if they whack this in the Glycerin, I don't think it'd be as kind of comfortable as people would expect. If they put it in the next Glycerin shoe, for example, I think it might be more kind of Ghost, maybe even the Brooks launch line, slightly more versatile trainers that handle different kinds of running. But yeah, overall in all, the moon boot was enjoyable today on my long run. That's it, guys. Thanks very much for watching our review of the Brooks Aurora-BL. Please like, subscribe, ring the little bell so you get notified when we launch the next video, and we will see you next time.